All right, for this walkthrough, we're going to learn how to do the drop-down navigation bar. It's a pretty cool addition that you can add to your projects. Gives you a little bit of extra spice. So the same thing you do for the nav bars, you go to Learn CSS. We're going to scroll down to navigation bars. And it's going to be under the horizontal nav bar, okay? Again, I recommend that you kind of go through this and check out the different things that W3 Schools has to offer. Super useful. If you know what you're doing, you can apply all of these elements to your project, no problem. I'm just scrolling down until I get to the drop-down nav bar, and it's right here. I'm going to click on the Try It Yourself. Again, this is just, you hover over it, and it comes down with a drop-down menu that we can send separate links to, okay? So same setup as before. It's got all the styling stuff that you need, and then all of the content that you need. This one's a little bit more in depth than the simple nav bar because there's just some additional classes in there that we need to use that we don't want to make sure that transfers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy everything from the style portion of the project. So I'm going to start at the UL tag, and I'm going to scroll all the way down to the closing style tag right here. There's a lot of content there. You want to make sure you capture it. Go to our style sheet, and then I need to get rid of the leftover stuff, and I'm just going to paste it there, okay? I've got all my drop-down content. It's all right here. All of my styling that I need for it. And then I'm going to go back, and I'm going to copy this unordered list. This is just another unordered list that they've got set up. I want to make sure I copy everything to it because they do have some additional things. You'll notice that they've got a div set up, and they've got some classes that are super important, okay? So I'm just going to copy all of that and put it into my first index. So I go to my main index. Boom, done. Format's not the best, so we can get that so everything's hovered correctly, or I should say indented correctly. There we go. Okay, so now I have a drop-down menu inside of my project, okay? I'm not done yet. I need to make sure, again, they use, for the URLs, they always use like a hashtag and then a name as like a placeholder. You want to make sure that you change this to whatever index it is that you're working on. So this is our main index. I want my second page, I want my news page to be the second page, so second index, so index2.html. We now get to the drop-down portion of the project, okay? So this is the drop-down button. Say I don't want this to say drop-down. If I want this to not say drop-down, I want it to say something else. So let's say we want it to say weather, okay? I changed that name right there, and now I've got weather in here, okay? And then this is where I would add my link. So I want index 3 to be link 1, index3.html. This is going to be, this is going to be index4.html. And these can be links, so they don't always have to be links to the index. They can be links to completely different pages. This could be like ESPN.com or like weather.com. So let's do that. Let's pull up weather.com, copy its URL instead of typing it in so we make sure we get the accurate address. I'm going to plug it in there. So I've got the URL for weather.com. I'm going to change this to say weather.com because that's what I want that link to say when it drops down. This is going to say index 4 instead of link 1, and this is going to say index 3. Okay. So now when I hover over my project, so I've got that going on, and then I hop that down. This now says index 3, index 4, and then weather.com. And you'll see as I click those, it takes me to those pages, okay? We're not done yet because as in the same situation with the regular navbar, the simple navbar, any unordered list that you add to your project is going to follow all of the rules, all the styling that you've done on your style sheet because of the UL tags, okay? So we got to make sure that we go in and we change our UL tags and our LI tags where necessary, okay? A couple things. Say you want to have more than one drop-down menu. You need to make sure that you're copying this section of the dropdown. So basically this opening LI tag that has the class name called dropdown down to this closing LI tag. So I can add that whole thing. And now I can add that chunk again. So now I've got another one called weather. Is it going to show up? There it goes. So we'll call this one weather number 2 so that we can easily discern between the two. Oops. Weather number 2, okay? So now I've got 2 menus in there with a drop-down menu, okay? So that just shows you how easy it is to kind of manipulate that the way you need it to be, to kind of keep things as simple as possible for the rest of the walkthrough. I'm gonna get rid of it though. But that's what you would do. You can add more links to it in your drop-down menu. You just need to add more Ahref tags here. You can remove this. If you want to change this so that it's in the first, so if you want your drop-down menu to be first, you just need to change the order of it. So instead of having it as the third link, you would just move this entire LI to like the first link, okay? So that's how you can kind of move it around, okay? But now we need to go in and change our classes for our unordered list to make sure it doesn't affect our class for the rest of our unordered list for the rest of our project. So we're going to call it navbar again. We're going to change all of our LI tags to say nav list. I should just copy and paste to save myself some time. LI tags nav list. So this one is interesting, okay? So this LI already has a class called dropdown, which is fine. We can give it another name as well. So we're just gonna call this one nav list. So it's gonna be called dropdown and nav list, okay? Because we wanna make sure that it follows the same rules, okay? We're not gonna mess anything else. We're gonna leave this class set alone right here for the dropdown button. Same thing for this content. We're not gonna mess anything with the links, and that's it. So now when we go to our style sheet, I'm going to change my UL tag. And again, this is where I'd want to change. If I don't like black as my background color, I would change that color right here, okay, for my entire nav bar, okay? I'm going to change that to say .navbar. And you'll notice I changed the name of it, and now it's not formatting properly because I haven't entered in the correct name that we gave it. So now that's navbar. This is now called .navlist. This is our drop-down button. So again, LI. This is where you change like your font family, the color of your font, the size of your font. That's where you can do this. So we're going to leave the A in the dot button, but we're going to change the LI to .nav list. Okay. It's LI A hover. This is what the color is as we're hovering over our links. Okay. So you notice that this is red. All right. And you also notice that there's a little bit different hover color when you're hovering over it. But this is what the red is. We're going to change this to .nav list, and that's the only thing we're changing, okay? Everything else stays the same. We're not messing with anything else. If I want to change the color, you can do that, but that's how you do it. Same thing with this. Instead of doing drop down, we're going to change it to .nav list just to make sure that anything else is not being interfered with, okay? Everything else you can leave the same. You can kind of play around with this to kind of see like what it is. So this link, if I want to change the link color inside of my dropdown content is where I do this for the A. Drop down content A. Okay? So that's how you incorporate the drop down nav bar. If I want to change the color, as you can see, you probably can't see because it's like a grayish. But say I want to change the background color of the links when I hover over in the drop down menu, this is where I would do that. Okay? So as long as you know what it is that you're looking at, you can change a lot of, you can customize a lot of this stuff. Okay? I would recommend that you don't mess with any of the display unless whatever it is that you're changing to and from, you know what you're doing. Same thing with like padding and text display and stuff like that, okay? So that's how you incorporate a drop-down navigation bar to your project.